Fear of failure is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to celebrate because it is the same force that keeps free solo climbers alive, that drives billion-dollar investment decisions, and also forges a character of elite military operators. In other words, fear of failure is the competitive edge of elite performers around the world. You cannot choose not to have fear of failure, so you must learn how to leverage it. And as a performance coach to 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, I've seen hundreds of times how those who train themselves to recognize and leverage fear of failure when it matters most, when they're about to sign a billion-dollar deal, when they're about to jump on stage to speak, always have superior results. If you don't learn how to do this, you will forever be playing small and you will steal your greatness. But if you learn how to do what I'm about to share with you, I guarantee that you will skyrocket your performance when it matters most. Welcome back. I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered Performance Institute for Founders. It all starts by understanding what is fear of failure. See, your mind has two sides, the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious is the things that you are aware that you are choosing to do. And the unconscious, of course, the things you're not aware that you're thinking, but create emotional reactions that you perceive. And fear of failure is when there's a clash between what you decided on doing and what you subconsciously believe is good for you or worth achieving. And every time your conscious and this unconscious mind collide, you have performance problems. When your conscious mind and the unconscious mind are aligned, you are able to perform at your peak. So in essence, fear of failure is an unconscious reaction that has been shaped by evolution to keep you alive, safe, and content. So you cannot choose not to feel fear of failure because it's something that will naturally arise when you are daring outside of your comfort zone. And this is exacerbated every time two things are true. One is when you are operating under conditions of uncertainty. The human mind is not good at dealing with the unknown, with what is uncertain. We need certainty about the things that we're doing in order to feel our best. And the second thing is when we care too much about the outcome and we're doing something that is very important for us that we absolutely have to get right. That is when fear of failure is exacerbated. Every entrepreneur is affected by fear of failure, but the most successful among them always know how to leverage it. But before you know how to leverage it, you need to understand what is going on in your brain every time you fear failure. See, when you fear failure, there's a part of the brain called the amygdala that lights up, which is now known as the fear center of the brain. And it secretes two neuromodulators, norepinephrine and cortisol, which also, when secreted in the right amount, it leads to better memory recall, better habit formation, and better decision making under conditions of stress. So the key to leverage fear of failure is to understand and leverage the Yerkes-Dodson law, which says that performance goes up to a certain point, and there's something called the optimal channel of arousal in which we can feel our best and perform our best. So fear of failure up to a certain point is positive. It helps us drive our best performance. So every protocol that we set out to create must acknowledge that those neuromodulators are going to be part of your brain at that specific moment, and you have to learn how to stay in that channel or optimal arousal. And what's even crazier is that even if you have your fear centers activated, you can decide to cognitively change the meaning of that emotion. And that is called cognitive reframing. In fact, the same neurological axis that creates fear also creates excitement. So you can choose consciously to label an unconscious reaction as excitement instead of fear. And when you do this the right way is when you find the sweet spot in which you are leveraging that fear of failure in the most positive manner. This is the art of fear leveraging. If you are a finance professional, like I used to be in private equity, when I was fearing I was going to go through a bad deal, that would sharpen my due diligence skills, and I would look at every detail of the deal to make sure I did not miss any important information. If I'm about to deliver a speech on stage, my fear of failure would drive me to have better preparation and really going through the talk as many times as I need to really be fully in control. If I'm about to go into a sales call, the fear of failure will help me visualize the outcome of the call and recall my presentation in a more effective manner. I understand how to leverage that fear of failure to sharpen my awareness and attention to detail and make sure I do not go overboard. And there's plenty of examples of famous entrepreneurs and lead performers that have addressed how their fear of failure has helped them drive superior performance. Like for instance, Alex Honnold, who was the first guy to climb El Capitan in Yellowstone free soloing without any rope, without any security mechanism. And he said that his ability to be absolutely afraid of what he was doing sharpened his attention to detail and eventually led to a successful outcome. So to recap, before we go into the fear leveraging protocol, understand that fear of failure is not something that you can choose, something that you will experience, but you can choose how to deal with it by cognitively reframing and by staying on the channel of optimal arousal. If you see any value from this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of the juicy stuff we publish every single week. week. And finally, how do we leverage fear? How do we make it work for us, not against us? Well, we do 3 things every time we are feeling that fear. First of all, we reduce uncertainty by creating clarity windows in which we define exactly what's going on and what needs to happen for us to avoid being hijacked. Like for instance, if we are about to give a speech, we absolutely create a certainty window about what the speech is about, what are the key points of the presentation, who is going to be in the audience, and how can we make sure that we don't mess up. By having as much clarity as possible about the speech that we're going to deliver, we reduce our anxiety and we sharpen our awareness. Then step number 2 is to execute without caring about the outcome. I know this is hard for most people, but the more you care about the outcome, the higher tendency to self-sabotage if things don't go exactly as planned. So once you are in the middle of the action, you must disengage from the outcome. You must trust that you will eventually figure it out and things will go exactly as you want them to go. And if there are micro failures during the action, you use them to learn about how to improve it during the game. So for instance, if you are delivering a speech and you make a faux pas, you make a mistake or whatever, you just use that to sharpen your attention to detail once again, to sharpen your awareness and make sure that you do not get distracted from the speech that you are in the process of delivering. And the final step is to cognitively reframe that fear of failure as excitement, as gratitude for the moment that you are experiencing, as a chance to really sharpen your ability to perform under pressure. This is one of the most important skills. This is called mental transmutation. It's something they teach Navy SEALs when they are in high-stakes combat missions. So in essence, first of all, you reduce the amount of uncertainty by creating certainty windows in which you have control over the elements as much as possible. 2, you stop obsessing about the outcome. You focus on the process. You nail the details. And if you have micro failures during your speech or during your performance, you use that to continue to hasten your awareness and become more aware of what needs to be right in order for you to successfully complete the action. And finally, 3, you cognitively reframe that fear as something adaptive and something good that is helping you perform on the highest level. If you do these 3 things, fear of failure will be the competitive edge you seek, because most people, they will never choose to feel this fear. So they will not venture outside of the comfort zone. They will not go beyond what they typically know how to do. And that is your edge. If you can consistently perform outside of your comfort zone and not fear a bad result because you learn how to harness that power, you will forever have an advantage over. If you want to know exactly how to truly transform yourself into a elite performer, check this video here. We go very deep into every single pillar of what constitutes an elite performer in business. And if you want our proven help protocols to really achieve your yearly goals in just a few months, book a call with us and we'll run you through exactly how we have helped more than 300 entrepreneurs do the same. See you in the next video.